Hey guys, Josh here again with Teddy. We're going to be talking about another one of Jesus' miracles today. This one is where he calms the storm. Now, Teddy's ready to go. This is found in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. Now, a few things before we get started with the actual story. One, I do need to introduce Teddy again. Say hi, Teddy. All right. We'll talk to him in a minute. Secondly, I've got a NASCAR blanket here, and I needed it because it's mostly blue, and today's story involves some water. So while I tell this story, if you look at it and say, hey, Mr. Josh, that looks like a NASCAR, you're right, but just work with me on that. Finally, if you can stretch your imaginations and believe that this box, this square box with two handles on it, is actually a boat, that would be very helpful for my storytelling. So if you can do that, I think we should be all right. Let's jump into the story. Bye. We read in Mark that after a long day, or probably several days of teaching, Jesus and his disciples were exhausted. That evening, they got into boats and waved goodbye to the crowd. Their plan was to travel across Lake Galilee, which was a really big lake back then. It would take them several hours to row across, to go to another town on the other side of the lake. Here's Jesus getting in the boat with some of his disciples, and Mark tells us that there was more than one boat. As they traveled through the night, the disciples most likely talked to each other, maybe telling jokes or talking about the day's events, what Jesus' teachings meant. But maybe were just quiet as they enjoyed the scene. Jesus, in the back of his boat, decided to lay down and get some good rest. As the disciples continued, they noticed that the wind began to pick up, and the waves were becoming pretty choppy. Then it started to rain. These guys were fishermen, and they knew a storm was coming. And they noticed it was coming pretty quick, too. The storm became even more and more scary. The wind blew harder. The rain fell heavier. They were all soaking wet. The waves were knocking over the sides of their boat. They didn't know what to do. They began to hold on to each other, thinking that they were surely about to be swept into the water and wouldn't make it back to shore alive. Jesus, however, was still asleep in the back of the boat. The waves were so bad now that they couldn't even steer, and they all thought that this would be the end. Jesus finally did get up and rebuked the wind and told the waves, "Quiet, be still." And they were. The wind and the waves stopped almost as suddenly as it had started. Jesus looked around at the disciples and asked them why they were afraid. Did they not believe in him? The disciples, still terrified at the storm that had just disappeared in front of their eyes, looked around at each other and were amazed that even the wind and the waves obeyed Jesus. What's so encouraging about today's lesson is Jesus showed his disciples, his friends, and us by reading the story that he is in control of everything, of the sun, the moon, the stars, the wind, the waves. He knows what's going on, and he really does care, and he is in control. I know right now we're all stuck at home because of a disease that's gone all over the world. And just know Jesus is still in control. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows who's sick, and he does care about us. And I hope this story was an encouragement to you. I hope you all have a great time this week. And Crystal and Tucker want to say a quick hello. So I'll put that in at the end of this video, and we'll see y'all soon, hopefully. Bye.
Hey y'all, it's Crystal and Tucker. We just wanted to say hi and that we miss you guys. Hope to see y'all soon. Bye.